Everybody, I'm Wayno. I'm an addict.
Hey, Wayno.
Hi, guys. I'm grateful to wake up clean today. Oh, thanks for asking me to come out and speak. I appreciate it, Chris. Chris didn't mention that he has a relative who is went to grade school with me. And that was a long time ago. His aunt is a good friend of mine, and she also she sits for my dogs. So we're kind of related, right? Yeah,
definitely,
sort of. Well, anyway, like I said, I'm grateful to be clean today and wake up clean today, and really tired, man. You know, this heat. Jeez. What do you think, guys? I don't know. I mean, you know, it used to get really hot when I was using, so I'd use. And then when it was cold, I used. Man, it was a bitch when it was raining. I had to get high. Snow sucks too. I pretty much got high for any reason. Weather seemed like a good reason, you know. Everything seemed like a good reason. You know, I got to tell you this. I used to live in this town about in the mid-90s, and it was during my first marriage. I lived in Mokina, and so when I was coming here tonight, I was coming by way of, I took the highway and got off on LaGrange Road and came from the east on LaPorte. And when I was driving, I don't know if any of you know the area here, but on LaPorte Road, there's this like forest preserve, what's it called?
Hickory Creek.
Hickory Creek, yeah. When I realized when I was driving by, I mean, I'm telling you, my heart's still pumping. I started to hyperventilate because I realized where I was. Back in that forest preserve, back in 1997, I was starting to hit my last bottom. That bottom lasted 5 years. I had many bottoms, but that bottom was my last bottom. And I was living here, getting ready to be separated with my first wife. I was full-blown addict, had been for a long time, but you know, I would play that roller coaster ride of coming up for air, and then, you know, once I caught my breath, you know, I'd hit it hard and, you know, cause another mess. And man, when I drove by there, you know, I get a little shaky even talking about it. That is where I wrote my suicide note, my suicide letter. It was like 3 pages long in that Hickory Creek. Yeah. And that's what flashed back when I drove past there on the way here tonight. I'm like, I wish somebody was in the car with me, you know, because it's weird the things that we can still remember, you know, but I'll never forget that, you know. I mean, that's how desperate I was. That's, you know, that is where my addiction took me, and it wasn't over yet. It wasn't over yet. That wasn't the first letter either. It was the last one, though. It was the last. And look at me now, man. Here I am, back in town. I'm back in town, back where it all I thought was going to end. And I'm still alive. I'm still alive. And I'm clean. And you know what's cool? Is I'm not desperate. I'm not desperate anymore, man. You know? We used to talk about the blessing of desperation, you know, when I was new in Narcotics Anonymous. I had no clue what people were talking about when I was new. Welcome to Narcotics Anonymous, you know, third meeting. I think That's great. Keep coming back, please.
Thank
You know, nothing's going to make sense for a while. Nothing, you know, I'm not going to make sense. Well, I haven't made sense for a while anyway, you know. I didn't make sense when I was using it. I haven't made much sense since I've been clean, but, you know, that's kind of fun sometimes. But no, nothing really made much sense when I finally did get clean. Nothing was making sense when I was using, but I thought it was. The stuff I was doing seemed rational. In my world, in my mind, everything I was doing, oh, this is a great idea. this is, yeah, it makes tons of sense to me. Yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And if it were, you know, jumping in front of a train, it made a lot of sense to me, you know. But in reality, it was not reality. You know, that was my problem. I used to have a bumper sticker on my car that said, "Reality is for people who can't handle drugs." And here I am, a stoner, with that bumper sticker, and I thought it was cute, and I thought it was funny, and I should have it now. Now that should be the bumper sticker on my truck. So like I said, back in 1998, in this town where this meeting is at, that's where I was right down the road. There was I was going to end it, and obviously I didn't. Like I said, my last bottom started, and it continued. I did separate with my wife, and I did, you know, lose my home and my family and my you know, my career, my business, my everything, self-esteem, you know. I lost my own self-respect. It got to that point. And I still kept using. I couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop. I wanted so desperately, like I was talking earlier, you know, that desperation to stop. I wanted it to end. Ending my life seemed rational, you know. That's how, because I tried every way except for NA to try to stop using, and unsuccessfully. So, yeah, it's different being, and I have been to this meeting before, okay, and I just didn't take that route here, you know, so it's just a different meaning sitting in this chair tonight, and so much has happened since I got clean. So much. It's been what a ride. It's been great. It's been really great. For those of you who are new to this meeting, and new to NA, give it a chance is what I would suggest. Just give yourself a chance, give this a chance. When I said you're not going to understand much, I was told when I was brand new that, Wayno, just bring your body. Your mind will follow. Eventually, you'll start catching on. And that's because of all you people. That's because of everybody here. New or old, you know, young or old, new to the program, or seasoned vets, you know. What everybody has to share and what everybody brings into this room helps me to stay clean. It not only helps me to stay clean, but it helps me learn how to live my life now that I don't have drugs in my life anymore. Big difference. Big difference for me. You know, take the drugs out of Wayno. I still am broken. I'm still messed up. Okay, the drugs just like throws Miracle Grow on the messed up. But take the drugs out, I'm still messed up. I don't know how to react. I don't know how to have, to relate to people, to life, to when life happens. I don't know how to do it because I always turn to, when it rained, I went to the dope. When it was hot, I went to the dope. When I lost a relationship, I went to the drugs. When I lost a job, I went to the drugs. When I got a job, I went to the drugs. When I got a new relationship, I went to the drugs. And alcohol. I mean, for me, drugs and alcohol is like peanut butter and jelly. You can't have one without the other. Or I couldn't, And so, I remove the drugs. Now, what do I do? How do I do this? How do I do this life thing? That's, for me, getting clean was easy. Living clean is challenging. You know what I mean? For me. Because I went for so many years. I used for 32 years. I started using drugs, not alcohol, but drugs. I smoked my first joint when I was 12. Okay. They turned the lights out in here, so none of you can see how old I am. I just celebrated 15 years clean.
Congratulations.
Okay?
Awesome.
Thanks. I got clean late in life, though. Later in life. I was almost 43 years old. I was a month or two shy of my 43rd birthday when I got clean. So for those of you who are like really good at math or, are trying to figure it out, I'll just save you the time. I'll be 58 in about a month or two. Okay. And that was challenging. I lived a long time and turning to drugs and alcohol for everything. And it got to the point where I didn't have to turn anymore because they were always there. I needed it. It got to the point, first it was fun, then it just became what I did. And eventually, I literally needed him to get through the day. So when that extended bottom that started here, I finally dug it deep enough where I was willing to come to a meeting. I was dragged into a meeting once. It didn't work very well. I wasn't dragged. I was escorted. I wasn't willing, and I was high. But it planted a seed for me. So when I did finally hit the bottom for myself, I knew where to go. And I called our helpline in Chicago, and I wasn't in this town when that happened. I was living in a car on the north side of Chicago. Wasn't even my car. Everybody was looking for me and the car. And I parked it on different blocks every night. I didn't envision myself, knocking on the door being 43 years old and in those circumstances. No. I had dreams and I had hopes and stuff. But because I became an addict and because the drugs became more important than anything else, I was unable to pursue those dreams, those goals. It robbed me of that. It really did. I still had them. I'm gonna. I wanna. But tomorrow. First, I'm gonna finish this one. And then if I finish it, I won't have any tomorrow. And I can pursue that dream And then tomorrow shows up, and God, how do I do today? Because tomorrow is today now. I don't know how to do today. So, like I said, I called the NA helpline, and they steered me towards a meeting. And I said, when is this meeting? And they said, well, it's tonight. I said, no, I don't want to go tonight. You see, that phone call was my first admission out loud that I needed help. That was enough for that day. That's enough. And you know, the other recovering addict who's working the helpline at the time says, okay, well, when? What day? And this was on Tuesday after Memorial Day Monday in 2001. And because Memorial Day, I had to have that Memorial Day final celebration, okay. Right? And a blow up. And I think it started around Easter. Got to get ready for Memorial Day. And that was right after I was winding down from New Year's Eve. So, I said, how about Thursday? And they gave me the address of a meeting in the north side of Chicago, and I had nowhere else to go. And I had been to one meeting before, like 4 years prior, and I went there. And for the young lady who's new here tonight, we pass hugs around. Okay, when I walked up to that first meeting, I knew there was going to be a hug. Because I had been to a meeting before. I was so broken. I had 2 days, like 2.5 days clean. And I was detoxing in that car that I was going to say that I was sleeping in, but my drug of choice was not very conducive to sleep. So that first hug was from a woman in front of the meeting when I asked, is there an NA meeting here? And she said, yeah, and spontaneously and instantly she gave me a hug. And I'll never forget it. That hug was different than the ones that I had 4 years before. They were the same for those people, but it was different for me. This one was so different, you know. I broke down sobbing. And she just held on to me, you know. And mind you, here I am, homeless, long hair, smelling like I hadn't taken, you know, I've taken bird baths and sinks and gas stations, you know. And she just held me, you know. I never looked back after that. I never looked back. I picked up a white key tag that night, and I never picked up another white key tag since. I haven't picked it up. And ever since then, those hugs carry that new meaning, you know? That's what I've learned about NA. I've learned tons of stuff because of NA, because of step work, because of sponsorship and service work and all of this stuff. But the one thing that I realize, and I see it all the time, is the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. It really is. Nobody knows what goes through us like another addict. Nobody knows. You see the person who's brand new, we've all been there. We've all been there. That's my brand new story. That's when I was brand new. I've been there, shaking, desperate, not having written that letter many years before, but not having the courage to go through with it and not being able to stop using it. I can't kill myself. That means I'll have to stop using. You know. So that's where it started. I went up, I got a white key tag, I said out loud, you know, my name and admitted that that I'm an addict, and I said I don't know what to do. And at Narcotics Anonymous and everybody in it took me under their wing and showed me what to do. You know? And I didn't have a clue what the hell you guys are talking about. I had no clue. People were sharing. I didn't know what a step was. I don't know what a step... What the hell is a step? You know? I mean, I went up steps to use the bathroom earlier when I came into this meeting. That's about all I knew what steps were, you know? But I kept coming back. And I started to catch on. I started to learn the language, you know, just by showing up, you know. And they told me where to go. They told me where they would be, you know, people in me. And I was like a sponge. I said, bring it. Bring it. Number one, I've got nowhere else to go anyway. And number two, holy cow, I've got 4 days clean. I've got 5 days clean. I say, you come here tomorrow. You go there on Saturday. You go there on Sunday. And that's how it happened. You guys just, you guys grabbed me by the shoulders. You pointed at me, okay, the meeting's that way. and gave me a little kick in the ass and go, you go that way, Wayno, and we'll be there. You go that way tomorrow, okay? And I did. I was like a little robot. And then I got a sponsor, you know, and he helped me with those things called steps. He helped me with those things called steps. And you know, I hear people share that steps keep me clean, and I think that's great. But I believe that staying clean is a choice. It's a daily choice for me. That's how I stay clean. Now, what steps do for me is they do the thing that I didn't know how to do, and that steps help me learn how to live my life without drugs. Okay? That's what the steps are doing for me, you know. And there's a process to go through, and I needed somebody to show me that, using their experience, how they did it, okay, you know, to help me along with that. And you know, reading the book and doing it myself is not enough. Once again, the therapeutic value of one addict helping another, you know. So I learned how to build a relationship and how to trust somebody with my future. Really, you know. And he wasn't responsible for my actions, but I trusted him that he would share his experience with, and he says, do with it what you want. And the experience that he would share with me, and this is how I sponsor today, is I share my failures. I share my successes. I share my failures. I share my fears. I share, you know, my oops. I made a big mistake there. You know, I've learned humility by way of being honest. You know, that it's okay for me to make a mistake, but I need to share it so to let you know, and you know, and you know, and everyone else know that it's okay to make a mistake, and you don't have to get high over it. No, the world's not going to stop spinning because you made a mistake. Okay, that's one of my biggest things for me personally. I would beat the crap out of myself if I screw up. You know, I mean, I chastise myself. You know, so, oh my God! Even my sponsees know it. I call my sponsees and ask them for help. I do. They're addicts. You know, really. You know, this is no hierarchy. You know, we're eye to eye, and that's how it is. You know. So I like I said, I did what was suggested. I got involved and I participated. I got involved in service. I'm a big advocate of service. Huge advocate of service. But I'm not a huge advocate of becoming a service junkie. You know, I could get addicted to anything, and I could get addicted to service. And don't get me wrong here. Everybody needs to be of service, and not just in Narcotics Anonymous. We learn how to give of ourselves by getting little positions in NA, but that's just the start. This is where we get a little practice in here. You got to take it out there, in your life, into society. You know? So, thank God for NA to teach me how to give and quit taking. You know, I was good at taking. So I'm a big advocate of service, and so was my first sponsor, and so is the sponsor I have now. I participate in NA that way, but I also participate in the world today. People who do know me know that people know me. I like dogs. I really like dogs. If you could surround me with dogs and keep all the people in a fence, behind a fence, I'd be really happy. That'd be really cool. Let's throw meat over the fence to people and pet my dogs. First service position that I got outside of Narcotics Anonymous was volunteer work at the Anti-Cruelty Society. I ended up working there for 4 years while I was living on the north side of Chicago. It's volunteer work. I worked the adoption kennels, and I did work my way up a ladder there, and started doing good manners training to the dogs so they would have better manners to make them more adoptable. Okay. Then I started working their functions. This is my community outside of Narcotics Anonymous. Okay. NA, I need to be a part of NA. But I also, for me personally, find it very fulfilling, and it helps make me a more well-rounded person to also have communities outside of Narcotics Anonymous. And it gives me places to practice what I'm learning in NA, you know, like relating to people, which can be a struggle for me at times because I have these things that I'm loaded with. They're called character defects, and they're based in Wayno, they're based in me, and sometimes they get the miracle grow thrown on them. And I need to reel them back in, and so I just get practice everywhere I go. And the service that I've done, you know, I told you I had dreams and goals, but I want them to get a career with animals. Okay? Always kept saying it. I'm a carpenter by trade. You tell I dressed for this meeting tonight, you know, with my work boots. And sorry about the dust for anybody who hugged me. But I always wanted to do this other, you know, be involved. But it never came to fruition, you know. So here, I learned how to be of service and selfless service to another recovering addict and to the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. And then I take that practice that I'm getting here and I bring it outside into society, and I do some selfless service out there. And then it started to reciprocate. And then I became Santa Claus. I became Santa Claus at PetSmart. You know, people would bring their dogs to me and take their pictures with their dogs. So, because of NA, I am now Santa Claus, right? But no, I went there representing the Anti-Cruelty Society, and we took half the money for the shelter dogs. And then I worked all the events, Bark in the Park, and all these other ones, and all these, you know. And what I'm doing now is I am a professional dog trainer, and I'm a full-time carpenter. Okay, I've opened up my own business, something that I've been talking about for 40 years. Now I opened up a construction business too. That went also with that bottom that I had hit. But I'm back in that. But I've been able to pursue a dream. This is crazy. The very first, I'm also big on conventions, and fellowshipping and activities in Narcotics Anonymous. The things that I have done clean with recovering addicts is crazy. Which makes sense because we're crazy. I've jumped out of airplanes. I've gone skydiving with a plane full of recovering addicts, and I liked it, so I did it again. And again, and again, and right? I just got, I've been whitewater rafting. I've been around the country to world conventions, road trips. The very first, what's that?
Addicts on Asphalt.
Addicts on Asphalt. A very first world convention I went to was in Atlanta, Georgia. These conventions have themes. A theme for the convention, right? What's the theme for that world convention? I had 1 year clean when I went there. The theme was freedom to live our dreams. I'm like, God. I look back at it now, I'm like, damn, they weren't lying. They weren't lying, man. No kidding. This NA has given me the freedom to pursue and to live my dreams without using. That's the key, there's so much I can say, so much I can share about NA. Like I said, service is big for me. I've done many different levels of service, and I'm a firm believer that you should always have some type of service position in Narcotics Anonymous. One of my service positions that I've had, I've been doing it for 13 years now, is the helpline. I have a shift with the helpline. That person who answered that helpline call when I called, I swear to God, they saved my life. By being there for me when I finally got the courage to make the call, they answered. They were there. Thank God for Chicago's helpline. And I too work the helpline and have been doing it for a long time now. Yesterday was my helpline shift, third Sunday of every month. I've been doing it for a long time. I'm passionate about this, guys. Passionate. There's so many things that are different now. My life is so different. And I'm not going to take the credit. I can't take the credit. NA is it. NA is my life was going down the toilet ever since I walked into NA. I came out of the toilet. I can't deny it. I can't deny it. That's the only factor that changed. I added NA to my life. I was talking with somebody at the break, and we have a mutual friend. He's a sponsee of mine. Haven't heard from him in a while, and I know nobody has, and it saddens me. It makes me sad. I've built some great relationships in Narcotics Anonymous. I have people in my life and friends who I would do anything for, and I believe they would do the same for me. Not because I'm holding a marker, when I do something for them. It's how we live our lives. We learn to live our lives. People who take this seriously are so giving. Are so giving of themselves. They don't think twice. They just show up. They just show up for me when I need it. It's different. It wasn't like that when I was using. The people weren't like that. They weren't. They would show up if I had something in my pocket. So, I hope he comes back. I really do. My experience has been that when I slow down and I stop participating in my own personal recovery, and when I slow down and stop participating in Narcotics Anonymous, I need balance because I have a life also. Narcotics Anonymous is part of it. It's not the whole thing, but because of NA, I have a whole life, and so I want to give back, and it's a reciprocal thing. It gives back to me. But when I slow down and when I stop, when I slow down or when I stop, what happens is people don't hear from me. People don't hear from me. I start to isolate. I start to rationalize. I can do this without. And then I'm in a bad place. And the people who are close to me, they know the difference. They notice it. They see the difference in me. And I start to see it eventually. Hopefully I start to see it. Because if they don't point it out to me and I don't see it, I'm in trouble. And I know the power of addiction. I do. I know the power. I know how powerful this disease is. I've experienced it myself, and I've seen it in the lives of so many of my friends, and friends, relatives, family, you name it. I know what it can do. So I'm going to keep participating. I have to. I'm too afraid. I really am. I don't want to go back to where I don't want to live in a car. I don't. I love my friends, my family. They're back in my life. I have new friends. I have dogs. I'm pretty damn happy. I'm pretty happy. And you know what? I think I'm about done. For any of you who, like I say, are new or who aren't new, please keep coming back because I need you. I really do. I need you. And I don't want to sound selfish, but to hell with it. I need you, If it weren't for you guys, God, I'd be in the back seat. I think that's all I got. Thanks a lot for letting me share, everybody. I like the candles.